Hello, my name's Ronald Dodd. This is the third in a series of videos that I'm making on how to maintain Hornby Dublo trains. Today we're going to look at how to fault find problems on a loco that just won't run. This chassis I've already stripped down partially to save time, the brushes that we removed in the last video. So if we imagine that this loco does not run, we can check for, first of all we should check for mechanical binding anywhere. Now if it's not been run for a long time, it's possible that the wheels may be seized up, so we can just jiggle the wheels around to check if they're free. You can see that that's moving, or it's moving there quite freely, and then we can check them all in the same manner. So we know that there is no binding there yet. Also, the armature may be tight, so we can get a cotton wool bud and just rotate from the top of where the commutator is. You can rotate the armature there. It turns very freely. In fact, with the brushes out, you should be able to just put a little bit of pressure on, and the whole motor and everything should rotate freely. Okay, so that's kind of established that there is no mechanical binding. Now, assuming that your track is okay and other locos are running on there, then we will look for electrical problems. So we'll check the wiring in here. Now first we can check the continuity between the pickup and the plug that goes to the brush on the front side, and we can see we have good continuity there. Then we'll check that there's no short circuit between the pickup and the chassis. I touch it onto the wheel and that's good. Also we can check the tube where the let's put it there. The tube where the brush goes is insulated from the chassis also. You can see there's nothing. The rear tube will have continuity with the chassis. Yeah, you can see. So that all seems to be okay. So the next problem might be that the motor is the windings on the motor itself might be burnt out or damaged. Here I have an old armature, and you can see this is the commutator, that it is divided into 3 segments for the three windings that make this work. Now you can do this in situ without having to remove the magnet. As I explained before, we want to avoid doing that. Now if I set the meter to ohms, and 200 is fine. You can experiment to find out which one gives you the best reading. And then you want to test the resistance between different pairs of the three segments, just like that. You can see I have nothing at all on them too. Oh, and there I have, there is a reading. So this, it shows that there is one or two shorted out or burnt out windings on this armature. So that if you have that case, then you will need to take this out and send it off, and you can get them rewound or replaced. So next I'm going to show you how to do that. As I said, you don't want to do this because we're going to take the magnet off. So with this, and you will probably need to have a remagnetizer to boost the power back up again afterwards if you do take it off. Oh, before I do that, let's just see how strong this magnet is. Here's a little test just to show you how strong these magnets are. It's not quite picking the train up, but with a small screwdriver, but there's quite a bit of strength there. Try it this way, it will pull it over. Okay, now we can remove this. I'll keep it together so I know which way it goes back. It can only go the one way up because it has little cutouts on the top. So I don't want to lose the polarity, or else the locomotive will run backwards. Then I have a little spanner here. I just unnip the nut that's at the top of the top bearing, and it's probably a good idea just to hold it. Let's move that out of the way. To hold the nut and undo the bearing. Now the nut will just drop down onto the top of the motor, and you'll be able to remove the top bearing. Being very careful that you don't lose. There's a tiny 1/16 ball inside this bearing. Be careful you don't lose that. And then if you look inside, there's a little groove on one side. It's not this side, it's on the other side. A little groove just in this position that allows you to remove the armature. So it just lifts and twists right out like that, and there's the nut. Okay, the bottom bearing also has a steel ball in there in the bottom. You can see that by looking through the top. It can be removed. You can I normally put a magnet onto my screwdriver, and you can pull it out with a magnet. It can be cleaned and then replaced. Okay, let's just check the workings. Everything is running nice and smooth. No problems at all. I like to try and keep the gear wheel as centrally as possible, allowing for the end play around the center of the armature bearing. There's quite a bit of play. You can adjust it by undoing these. There's two set screws, one each side, and then you can slide it up or down to position it there centrally. So you have maximum contact when it's running. Okay, that's good. So now we put it back together the same way. I can Give it a drop of oil first. Yeah. This has already been cleaned. There's no problems. You can sand the with a bit of emery cloth or something if this is badly worn. You can even put it in the chuck of a drill motor and just gently sand, but be very careful of the wires. I think you can just see the tiny little wires there. If you catch them, you'll have to get a rewind. So this will go back inside. Oh no, we need to put the nut on the top first. There. Now this will go back inside. A little bit fiddly. There. There. Now I normally use a tiny little bit of wire. Poke the little steel ball out and clean it, but I think this one is okay. It looks clean anyway. So if you turn the locomotive horizontal, you can put the bearing in without the ball dropping out, and just gently guide it in. Yeah. Now you have to spin the nut onto the bearing there, like that. And just touch it on there, like that, like so. It's still spinning quite freely, but now we need to give it a little bit of end play, because it will seize up probably, or when it warms up. So I just back the bearing off a little bit less than a quarter of a turn. Then tighten, just nip the nut up. And then check it. You should to be able to just see a little bit of movement there. Maybe half a millimetre, plenty. I don't know if you can. You probably won't see that on there. But there. Okay. Now just make sure it's snug. There. Normally you can spin these. Okay, now I'm going to put a spot of oil on the top bearing because I forgot to do that. There. And then mop off the surplus. This is a good opportunity if the chassis is filthy to clean it as well. Okay, now we'll put the motor back on. The magnet, I mean, and these other bits, forgot what they're called now. Yeah. screw in. And then just nip it first. Check that the armature is free, not touching anywhere, and then finally tighten it. Okay, now I'll put the brushes back in. We discussed the brush spring pressure on my previous video. Now, hopefully that should run fine. I will switch the power on. Power on, and there we go. In fact, I'll just connect my amp meter onto this, and we can check the amps real quick at the same time. Okay, it had about 0.3 amps I think before. Okay, the amps are up just slightly. We've still got about 0.3 now, we've got about 0.4. So I will remake that. And that's it. I hope you found this video useful. Thank you.